All right, guys, look, don't even think about saying anything stupid in the comments. This is an extremely serious video, probably the most serious video I've ever done. This affects everyone, not just me, not just anyone else who's a content creator on YouTube, but all of us. Now, in 2025, it is predicted that we're going to have over 90% of the content that we get to view and watch made by AI. Now, as you can see behind me, I have just proved that as fact. Now, I put a video up on this channel, the third part of the three-part series for predictive AI, etc., to do a finalization video to kind of finish the discussion and talk about the geopolitical, digital, and technological implications of what's actually going on with the internet, the world, and your rights as a human being, which got taken down because of a certain piece of content that I had put into that video. Now, at the time, I had not realized that the video from the YouTube channel behind me was actually a fake AI website channel or YouTube channel. Now, I have gone and checked out this channel's website, and it is purely a fake digital made website with digital images on it, as well as a very, very unbelievable work resume connected to Mr. Joe Miser. This is a fake channel because I have also uploaded the same video that got taken down and rejected, which I'll show you shortly, for a counterclaim, although I asked for licensing and publishing license information, as the video in question does not pertain to have anything in the description part of the video itself to explain anything in relation to licensing or anything like that. So as you know, digital AI generated video, imagery, and so on is unlicensable and uncopyrightable because it was generated by an augmented AGI source, artificial general intelligence source, right? So I have gone and re-uploaded with a couple of edits the video that I had taken down from this channel onto my other channel, and yes, of course, I kept that one piece of content to see if it would also be struck, and today it has been. So I've received a second manual claim on a YouTube channel that has 20 subscribers. Think about the immensity of YouTube, the immensity of videos that are unfathomable in number on this platform. To then have a tiny, minuscule speck of dust channel with 20 subscribers get manually struck again for the same piece of content, but no other content that is included in that video, which I have just re-uploaded today with that piece of content removed to tell you the truth about what's really going on and the actual facts of what's actually going on with AI and now social media. So today, this video is all about proving once and for all that by 2025, we are not going to have any real creators being able to make real content because of false DMCA takedowns and also AI channels making false claims using bots to scrub through the entire of YouTube. Think about that. Now, we're talking, if you were to line all the zeros and ones up of a video itself, let's say a 1 hour video, and you multiply that by the unfathomable number of videos on YouTube, you could walk on that line of digital information to the moon and back 40 to 50,000 times. This is the thing. AI is taking over everything, including your gaming experience. Yes, biometrics will be in very shortly. Ricochet has just gone into collaboration with Riot's Vanguard to use its algorithm to teach its AI how to better identify DMA cheats, hardware cheats, as well as a shit ton of cheat providers' software that is now just been taken down today. There are so many cheat providers who are currently basically going to jail. I won't mention which companies, but there is a shit ton of an absolute shit ton of cheat providers who have just been taken down today. So guys, AI is so much more powerful and dangerous than you've ever realized. Now, it's good for real gamers because, well, we get our games back. And these cheap providers and cheaters themselves, well, they're going to get biometrically life banned from everything soon. They'll never be able to play a computer game again in their life. So that's great news for us. Yeah. Unfortunately, at the same time, YouTube is now officially, with proof, facts, and evidence today, being taken over by fake AI YouTube channels that are creating an agenda, a narrative, a story that you are going to hear and nothing else. Big YouTube channels, medium YouTube channels, small YouTube channels, and minuscule channels like mine, you need to prepare now, because the DMCA takedown situation is going to just be one problem that we all have to deal with moving forward as content creators. It is going to end up where AI is going to start predictively looking in the checks section of your upload to see if you say anything that goes against the current agenda of the world government and what is going on with the world as it is. If you've recently put up anything about the current most popular form of discussion, which I will not mention, then you are in a very, very serious, precarious place where you've already been put on a list. Not a joke. FBI have been actually, is a Linus Tech Tips video, which I'll show you shortly as well, just talks about exactly this. People who watched a video about a drone and AI software or augmented reality software have all been put on a list on a certain date by the FBI of America from a YouTube video in relation to potential terrorism. This is not a joke. This is not a test. This is reality.
All right, why don't we jump right into, you know what, let's do the YouTube topic.
Do the YouTube thing?
Yeah, this is kind of a big deal. Okay, so YouTube's been in the news for a couple of things this week. There was an analysis done on them that their valuation might be somewhere north of around $400 billion, which would make them more valuable than Disney and Comcast combined.
Wow.
Which is funny because YouTube seems to kind of fly under the radar on a lot of regulatory stuff. Like Google or Alphabet gets talked about, but YouTube, it's like, I don't know, yeah, man, like, I don't know, it's just YouTube, right? Like, whatever. YouTube is a flipping enormous company, if it were its own company. But with being a big company comes big responsibility toward your users, and I don't know if I'm convinced that Google is doing everything that they could to take care of YouTube's users. Let's have a little listen. I guess, Luke, do you want to read us through what exactly happened this week? Because this... maybe I'm just naive, but this really surprised me.
Really?
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll get into it. We'll talk about how it might surprise or not surprise more in a moment. But by the way, Dan, I think my monitoring's dead. According to recent unsealed court documents, federal investigators have ordered Google to unmask users who watch certain YouTube videos. Undercover agents sent links to these videos to a suspected cryptocurrency launderer under the alias Elon Musk WHM. The government then ordered Google to provide extensive information on anyone who watched the videos between January 1st and the 8th, including names, addresses, telephone numbers, user activity, and IP addresses. The videos were tutorials for mapping using AR software and drones, which have been watched over 30,000 times altogether.
So that's the biggest problem. There are plenty of problems that we can talk about, but that's the number of users that got caught in the crossfire of what supposedly was supposed to be a targeted sting.
I'm wondering I'm wondering why you would do that. And I'm guessing that it's because they didn't want to send a video with like 0 views so it would look suspicious or something. I don't know.
I think people just actually watched it.
They uploaded this video and then people were like, oh, this is interesting.
Well,
maybe.
Almost anything can get views on YouTube,
That's
right?
True. Yeah. In a separate incident, investigators ordered Google to provide a list of accounts that interacted with 8 YouTube live streams after noticing a live stream camera near the site of a bomb threat. One of those live streams was posted by Boston and Maine Live, which had around 130,000 subscribers. Again, it's unclear whether Google provided any information in this case, but a Google spokesperson claimed that the company has a rigorous process for determining whether law enforcement requests are legally valid or inappropriate and overly broad. Privacy experts have described these orders as potentially unconstitutional because they treat innocent people as potential criminal suspects simply because they were in the wrong place at the wrong time, violating their Fourth Amendment protection from unreasonable search and their First Amendment right to free speech and free association.
So here's the thing. Not only were they in the wrong place at the wrong time, and not only are they kind of grouping people into buckets based on who they're associating with where they were and at what time. I mean, there are certain situations where, you know what? Too bad. That's kind of valid. Like if you were in Hitler's, planning room for the Holocaust, you know what? I'm afraid you're kind of complicit at that point.
If you're there, there's probably other reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
More than just location.
You probably ain't completely innocent. Is all I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, okay, fair enough. You were in this like very, very bad place at a very, very bad time, and there's simply no other reason to be there at that time. You could maybe kind of make an argument there. That doesn't mean it's constitutional or whatever. I'm not a legal scholar. But what it means is that there might be some fire where that smoke be.
Yeah.
But YouTube?
Just a random YouTube video? Especially
you might not have even been there. It might have been on autoplay.
Just some random live stream of an account that has 130,000
Exactly.
subs, or a video on like AR software and drones. I've watched AR software and drone videos.
Yeah, but I'm talking autoplay, Luke.
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. Yeah,
and you might have not, I might have legitimately not even been in that room. It's like if someone took your phone and was like, I'm gonna play Pokemon Go with this guy's phone, and they just go somewhere, and they end up at like a rally for, some kind of, hate group or something. Right?
Yeah.
And then people be like, yeah, you're associated. Well, I wasn't even there. I had nothing to do with this.
There was a Mewtwo there. What do you think I'm supposed to do?
Exactly.
Not go? Are you kidding me?
It was a shiny one.
It's crazy.
So this is, Linus needs to chill with his hot takes. This is not a hot take. This is terrible. The fact that simply by watching a video, and again, Luke,
you can become a suspect.
I shouldn't even I think the word suspect might be too strong, but you're on a list. You shouldn't be able to be on a list based on that you watched a video about a knife one time. Because that's the thing. And I know I'm about to... Hold on. I know the slippery slope argument has all kinds of problems. But this is one of the slipperiest of slopes. Because there's all kinds of stuff that you can watch just because you have an academic interest.
Yeah, like this isn't like how to use a drone to bomb people.
Okay. I was legitimately curious about those add-ons that you can get for handguns that make them automatic.
What
were they called? Glock something, I
switches.
forget. Yeah, switches. And I was learning about it because I saw someone allege that, because some politician tried to ban them or
there's
something.
A bunch of different ways to do it.
Someone tried to ban them.
I think you're talking about this one.
Yeah, but some politician tried to ban it or something. And I saw someone say, they might as well ban 3D printers. And then someone else was like, well, actually the 3D printed ones are gonna last for like 1 round or 3. And really it's these modifications that people are manufacturing and selling anyway. But the point is, no, not bump stocks. It's a handheld one.
You can do that. Guys, don't worry about it. You can do bump stocks with a pistol. It's not what he's talking about, though.
It's not what I'm talking about.
There's a bunch of different ways
to do
it. It's unimportant. The point is,
not bump stocks. It was something else. I know what a bump stock is. That's a different thing. Anyway, the point is that I was like, oh yeah, so like, what is this piece? How is it integral to the handgun, such that it obviously couldn't be involved in the actual combustion and expulsion of gas.
Yeah.
But why is it that then it couldn't be 3D printed? I was just curious about it. And you know how we joke? Like, you've made the joke, I've made the joke. I mean, Dan's probably made the joke at some point. we joke about how like, oh yeah, reading that article or watching that video, I'm going to be on a list.
Yeah.
But what the actual fuck?
Yeah, I probably just am.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Because just because this is the first time we're hearing about it does not mean that this is the first time this has happened.
It almost probably means that it isn't the first time.
And there is literally anything on YouTube.
Yeah.
Literally anything.
Yeah. Quite genuinely. I don't think there's been anything that I've looked for on YouTube that I didn't at least find something like heavily related to, you know?
If you are a cheater in a game, you write hacks, you sell hacks, you are going to get into a massive amount of trouble very soon. If you are an online criminal, you are in serious trouble. Serious and like life-changing trouble very soon. If you are a normal citizen who is innocently watching a video about drone footage and how to use augmented reality with a drone, well shit, you're on a list to go to jail yourself now. This is the most serious thing that's ever happened in the human race. Now, this was projected for 20 to 30 years from now. It's 2024 and it's happening this minute. I have proof that is going by next year to have 90% of our content that we watch on a daily basis either so heavily censored or taken down or augmented or fake AI channels like the one behind me take place of us.
In a 2023 report, the Europol Innovation Lab estimated that by 2025, about 90% of the content available on the internet will be produced with the help of artificial intelligence. According to Whitney, the plan is to subjugate the entire global population and ensure that humans can no longer think for themselves. This will make us subservient enough to take anything the ruling class offers us so they can keep their throne while we keep whatever little trinkets they hand down. She further reveals that there are well-formed plans to put artificial intelligence in charge of the internet. AI will not only be in charge of censoring everything that appears on the internet, but will also be used to make the lion's share of online content. With AI dominating the information environment, whoever programs AI and stipulates the information it's allowed to publish or approve will dictate how people think, when they think, and what they are allowed to think about. When these diabolic plans are fully in motion, Whitney warns that people's cognitive abilities will be so completely diminished that we won't be able to perceive reality or make sense of anything without AI doing it for us.
Now I'm going to show you guys what's happened, basically. So here you've got the first counterclaim. Now in that counterclaim, I asked very politely, without any malice or any argument or any hate, for someone to basically at YouTube send through to this Joe Miser AI channel that I've now discovered, at the time I thought it was a person, to provide me with licensing information for the audio used, the voice used, as well as the digital imagery created by AI. Now I've already created an AI video on my second channel, which is Conflicted Yes No, and I've already gone through all of that in great detail. Please jump over and watch that if you want to, as it will explain everything about ASI, AGI, and current ChatGPT stuff. So, and that's all using AI put together video by an AI website, right? So guys, that's going to be the future of your content. You're not going to be able to have people like myself or others or big YouTubers sit in front of a camera and talk to anymore, because they might say one word that gets censored. And if that one word gets censored by the AI algorithm, AGI itself, and then ASI in the future, well shit, your video will be taken down. And you'll go on a list and you'll go against what the government's saying, etc. so forth. Now this video is going to probably get a lot of attention from YouTube because I'm calling them out for rejecting a claim which is more than legitimate, and just now today having the same video taken down on my other tiny little baby channel for the same thing, exactly the same bit of content, just in a different spot in the video. Come on. YouTube and Google are in full collusion with AI to stop you having to hear the truth anymore. You're going to be, as it says here in the video coming up, that you will be rhetoricked into a specific line of information that you will be drip-fed and forced upon watching and believing because you won't know any better.
BRICS countries, Western countries, all on board for Agenda 2030. The people in charge of climate finance for the UN, Mike Bloomberg, the billionaire, and Mark Carney. I think your viewers know enough about Mark Carney to know why that's insane. And to think that Mark Carney and Jamie Dimon and Mike Bloomberg and Bill Gates and all of these guys just care so much about the planet and not about robbing you of all of your wealth, which is what they've spent their entire careers doing. Come on, guys. We have to like watch what people do and like judge them by their actions.
At first glance, the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, which, amongst other things, aims to end poverty and hunger in all forms and dimensions, and protect the planet from degradation through sustainable consumption and production, and taking urgent action on climate change, seems like the perfect idea, one that will end all the rife in the world and bring everlasting peace and healing to our planet. However, the people at the helm of global affairs have never been known not to have a hidden agenda. It's no different this time. Not only have our leaders promised on behalf of peoples everywhere to end the terrible situations they've caused and continue to cause with their greed, but they've also put some very questionable characters in charge of saving people from hunger and the planet from degradation. According to the UN, the agenda will be achieved through a global partnership that will bring together governments, the private sector, civil society, the United Nations systems, and other players. The private sector here includes big tech, big pharma, large commercial banks, and investment firms run by the 1% of the 1%, and the leading civil society is no other than the highly controversial World Economic Forum. It is quite difficult to believe that billionaires who emit at least 1 million times more carbon than the average person with their yachts and jets and through their many corporations actually care about saving the planet. The actual goal here is quite different, and according to popular investigative journalist Whitney Webb, it is more sinister and terrifying than you can ever imagine. During a recent interview with TFTC, Webb reveals that the global 1%ers, through this Agenda 2030, plan to completely subjugate humans and impose some very diabolical limitations on private property ownership. Ever heard the phrase, "You'll own nothing and be happy"? This is the exact future the human race faces if immediate actions are not taken to end these terrifying plots. We will now bring you clips from Whitney's interview as she speaks further about this partnership, the plans for a digital ID for everyone, and how they will use chaotic incidents like shutting off the internet to get everyone more agreeable to their plans.
I mean, what we have right now is them literally tokenizing all their existing rackets to move it into this new, like, fourth industrial revolution paradigm. That's literally what is happening across the board, and people just, like, don't recognize it. And they're cloaking it in all this stuff, like, specifically with, like, SDGs and Agenda 2030. It's like, this will make a better world. And then you actually, like, look at it and it's like, this is insane. Why are all bankers in charge of this? I hate it so much. But I mean, you go back into like the UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, like at the end of the 90s was like, yeah, so you know how we used to be at least viewed as like the public sector, you know, the public sectors of the world all coming together to like democratically vote on stuff. Well, now we've basically been taken over by corporations, and now the business of the businesses of the world is our business. You know, I'm paraphrasing, but that's what he said. In order to create this space where they want to like push people into this new system, there's going to be chaos and there's going to be instability, and so the comfort and convenience that keeps people asleep will be disrupted. What people do in that point in time is the most critical about this whole thing, about how it plays out. Seriously, like that is the most important window. And again, that is why it's so important to be local. Because, okay, there's a big cyber tech on the financial system. The internet goes down for a couple of days. What are people going to do? They're going to go out in the street and look for answers, figure out what's going on. This is why it's important to know what's going on and couple that with having, you know, connections in your local community so you can direct people about what needs to be done and what's happening at that point in time. It's like very important. Well, also the internet, when it turns back on, isn't going to be like the internet now at all. They're going to put AI in charge of like literally all content. Your ID is going to be tied to not just everything you post online, but everything you read and consume, every site you visit. And they plan to pass all of that through AI to determine if you're a threat to the system or not. This is all like predictive policing. All of this stuff is built into this system. Specifically in the US, the Biden administration already has the policy framework developed. They've had it since, I mean, they first came into power in 2021. Eric Schmidt, right, who basically runs like AI national security policy for the US too, and is like funding all this science and technology policy stuff. Basically, key officials in that of the Biden administration are being paid, their salaries are being paid by Eric Schmidt. It's like super illegal, and Politico reported on it and like nothing was done. They were like, well, I see you found out, and that is that. That guy has an insane amount of power. He was just on a podcast talking about what needs to be done about misinformation. And he was saying, we need to get everyone's ID tied to social media. And then when people post misinformation, report them to law enforcement. Remember how that guy posted stuff about how he hated Joe Biden and how Joe Biden shouldn't come in his neighborhood and all this stuff on Facebook? And then the FBI shot him in front of his house, and he was like an old disabled guy. Eric Schmidt's idea is a very bad idea. It's a very bad idea. Eric Schmidt is also a dangerous fascist who controls a large amount of U.S. government policy right now, and how the government and the intelligence agencies and the military plan to use AI.
In a 2023 report, the Europol Innovation Lab estimated that by 2025, about 90% of the content available on the internet will be produced with the help of artificial intelligence. According to Whitney, the plan is to subjugate the entire global population and ensure that humans can no longer think for themselves. This will make us subservient enough to take anything the ruling class offers us so they can keep their throne while we keep whatever little trinkets they hand down. She further reveals that there are well-formed plans to put artificial intelligence in charge of the internet. AI will not only be in charge of censoring everything that appears on the internet, but will also be used to make the lion's share of online content. With AI dominating the information environment, whoever programs AI and stipulates the information it's allowed to publish or approve will dictate how people think, when they think, and what they are allowed to think about. When these diabolic plans are fully in motion, Whitney warns that people's cognitive abilities will be so completely diminished that we won't be able to perceive reality or make sense of anything without AI doing it for us. So, how do we stop what's coming? What are the actions you can take today to protect your finances, your data, your family, and your community? Whitney shares some ideas in the other half of the interview. Here are more clips from the interview.
And so what has to be done is people have to divest from Silicon Valley and Wall Street as much as possible. Because basically, what I call the blob that basically runs the US, it's the national security state, it's Silicon Valley, and it's Wall Street, okay? It's harder to divest from the US government if you're living in the US than it is to divest from big tech and Wall Street. You can take your money out of JP Morgan and Wells Fargo and Citi, and you can stop using Google products, Microsoft products. You can not use OpenAI maybe, which is basically Microsoft, and all of this other stuff, because they plan to do a lot of bad stuff with your data, like a lot of very bad things. Here's an example that's very blackpilling. Sorry, everybody. Okay, so what's going on right now in Israel, right? The IDF uses an AI algorithm that they literally call the gospel. And they said, the IDF officials have said that before the gospel, they identified 15, 20 targets to assassinate in Gaza a day. Now that they use the gospel, the AI algorithm identifies hundreds, right? And what are the metrics for identifying who gets to live and who dies? Well, they won't tell anybody. But a lot of the people that have been killed have been women and children. Was it because they liked a post that Hamas made on a social media network? Was it because their cousin is in Hamas? Was it because they went to a person's house who a relative of Hamas lives there? I mean, it's very broad, isn't it? No one really knows. So it's very likely that because of the surveillance dragnet that Israeli cybersecurity companies test out first in Palestine and then export around the world, because that cybersecurity segment of Israel's economy is like a major part of their GDP, and they test it out there, right? So Palestinians are some of the most surveilled, data harvested people on the planet. This data that's been harvested on Palestinians is now being used to decide which of them are blown up or not.
Yeah.
What happens when we get to that point? Do you know who runs the AI weapon stuff in the US that's also being tested? Not just, I mean, Israel has their own, but the US has it too. It's being tested in Ukraine to decide who lives and dies. It's Peter Thiel and Palmer Luckey, who created Oculus, which was sold to Facebook because of Peter Thiel and all of this stuff. It's the same crowd. Peter Thiel runs Palantir, that you harvest your data for intelligence agencies. Every intelligence agency in the US uses it, and it profiles people, and they can label you as subversive. And Palantir is the outgrowth of total information awareness that I mentioned earlier. Palantir was literally created to replace that. It's involved with the border stuff too.
Well,
they have this huge surveillance autonomous dragnet on the border and a real setup. It's obviously not stopping people from coming in. Is it to stop people from coming out? They want everyone's data. I mean, data has been a huge part of this play for a really long time. And now we're giving away more of our data than ever and more intimate parts of our data. And now they have tools that use that data that can do awful things if we let them. And it doesn't mean we have to live without AI or any of this stuff. Like, if you want to use it, okay, but we have to divest from big tech AI because they are trying to use AI to turn us into a giant underclass of subhumans who, I mean, this Kissinger-Schmidt book is so crazy, and I encourage everyone to read it because they literally lay out that it's going to create neo-feudalism. They don't use that term, but basically they say there will be two classes of people. There will be the people that program and maintain and set the objective functions of AI. And then there will be the people that AI acts upon who lose the ability to understand what AI is doing to them. Yeah, that's neo-feudalism, but obviously it's big tech and everyone else is essentially what that is. And the people who set the objective function, I'm sure, will be like existing oligarchs and existing power elites. Yeah. But once that system's in place, you're not gonna break and get into the top tier. Like, that's over. You know, AI will act on you, will manipulate you in ways you don't understand, and you won't be able to tell what's real and what's not. And that AI, well, first of all, AI hallucinates, like, that's the term. It will produce output that isn't even real and doesn't exist. And they argue in this book that AI will push us into this era of unseen realities, and that only AI can see, and we should trust that those are real because AI is super smart. Yeah? And so this is like Matrix level shit to an insane degree.
It's no news that the government surveils citizens everywhere. But it is not just your government surveilling you, it's everyone. Big tech, big pharma, social media platforms, shopping websites. Everyone seems to be in on this grand conspiracy, except for affected citizens. They all want the lion's share of your data because in the new world order they are building, whoever controls the data controls the world. But only those who are unprepared will be meekly agreeable. Your gold and silver stacks will differentiate you from the subjugated and help you better suited to protect your family and loved ones. What are your thoughts on Whitney's simple, insightful explanation? How are you preparing for what's coming? Please drop your comments and observations in the comment section below.
Okay, guys, there you go. You have it all. You've got the rejection for a very fair claim, counterclaim. You've got another manual request takedown to take down the video again on my other YouTube channel. And you have actual Whitney Webb, the most controversial, open person on the face of the planet in investigative journalism in the IT and AI space, telling you the facts. And it is written there in documentation from actual documented evidence on the internet from white papers showing you that by 2025, it's all over for us. Prepare now, get ready now, because what's about to happen, which is insanity itself, it's unbelievable psychotic behavior from governments and very scary, dangerous police state CCP stuff that we would never thought was ever going to happen is happening right now, this minute. And you can ignore and you can be in complete denial of what's going on. But if you are, you're just putting yourself further back down that road towards failure. If you start taking the steps right now to protect your personal identification, you try to scrub anything that you've ever done on the internet off it. And if you're a cheater, you're a hacker, you're a dark web, deep web person, you're screwed. Like there's no stopping your demise now. Sorry. But you've already gone and broken the law. You've gone and broken terms of service, end user license agreements as well as an end user. You're screwed, right? You're screwed. But for the rest of us, try to stay away from all social media. Stay away from YouTube first and foremost. They are in clear and blatant collusion to ensure this AI agenda is happening by next year. 90% of the content you watch will be digitally augmented. I'm Citizen Tech Talk. I don't think I'm going to be making many more videos on the internet moving forward now myself. As per usual and as for always, peace out.